Hi there, my name's Cathi Barker from Software Solutions, and you're looking at one of a collection of videos that goes with my Excel Level 2 functions, charts and more. What I want to do in this video is really dissect the topic of conditional formatting, which we touched on in some earlier videos. Video 2 to be exact, we started to look at conditional formatting. But now let's delve deeper. I've got the Excel 2 file open that comes with the courseware. I've gone to a sheet that I've created called Conditional Formatting, but I actually think I might backtrack for a minute. I'm just going to right click these two triangles here, and I want to go to the sheet called Third If, and OK. Now, in an earlier video, we looked at clicking on one of the cells in C2 to C15 and looking at how we can manage the conditional formatting. If I go to the Home tab in the ribbon, about halfway across is the Conditional Formatting button. And if I click that, I've got the option to manage rules and interrogate what actually has been applied to this cell in terms of conditional formatting, because perhaps I didn't make it. If I go into Manage Rules, I can see that the range C2 to C15, which includes the cell I had selected, has got a conditional format. In fact, it's got three. If a cell contains a C minus, it's formatted to look like this. If it contains a C, it's looking like this. And if it contains an F, it's looking like this. So if you want to check out what's been applied, go into Manage Rules. And if you want to delete a rule, you simply click it and delete the rule, or edit the rule, or even duplicate the rule. I'm going to go Close. Besides being able to color code, you can also filter and sort by conditional formatting. So let's say, for example, that I want to turn on the filter. Now, the fastest way to turn on the filter, which I like to do, is Control-Shift-L. And I remember Control-Shift-L if I'm sitting in the list, because list begins with L. So I press the key combination Control-Shift-L. Immediately now I can hit the drop down on grade and I can actually filter by color, or I can even sort by color. So be aware that you can filter and sort by color, and not just conditional formatting color, any sort of color that you've applied. So there may be no standard rationale when you go through a list of figures and you might think, oh, that's dodgy, that's dodgy, that's dodgy, and you start making them orange, orange, orange. You could then filter out all the ones that had an orange background just because you've manually applied a fill color. Okay, so we've looked at sorting and filtering by conditional formatting, and we've also looked at how you can manage the rules. Now, what I often get asked is, when you apply conditional formatting, it only formats the one cell. And often people say, how do I format the entire row? You know, if this contains an F, that it's not just this cell that goes red, the entire row goes red. You can do it. It's a bit of work, so you've got to really want it, but you can do it. Let me first of all press Control-Shift-L to turn off the filter. And let's start by selecting, say, A2 to A15. And I will then go to Conditional Formatting and I'll choose New Rule. And I want to use a formula to determine which cells to format. And in here, I type my formula, and I always start with an equals, no matter what I'm going to say. And I'm going to say C2, and it is best to type it rather than click in this context, equals double quote F double quote. So this is basically saying if C2 contains an F, then we go into Format and we decide how we want it to look. I might go into Fill and just choose the second red, Fill. And I'll just put it up to see how close it is. What about the first one? No, definitely the second's closer. Then I'll go to Font and I'll choose Color and I'll choose a dark red. I wonder if I need bold. Maybe bold as well. And OK. And OK. And so now Paul goes red if C2, that's relatively speaking, contains an F. Now I'll have to adjust these ones. Let me select this, Conditional Formatting, manage the rules. This one here, I'll have to edit the rule, go into Format and make that the dark red and the fill the second red for it to be consistent. There's a slight difference when it is applied via the Highlight Cell Rules option as opposed to the New Rule option. So I'm going to manage the rules, make sure edit the rule. So it's the same sort of, and then format, and just make them consistent. That's the fill color, that's the font color, and it's bold as well. So they look consistent. Actually, I don't think I did the bold on this. Let me go back, manage the rule, that one there, edit the rule, that one there, bold, okay, okay, okay. So now that's consistent. Then I have to do the same to this one. Highlight the range, conditional formatting, new rule, use a formula, always start with an equals, C2 equals, double quote, F, double quote. Go into format, go into bold, choose the same font color, choose the same fill color, and okay. Do it to this one. Conditional formatting, new rule, use a formula, equals C2 equals double quote, F, double quote, same format. See what I mean about it's a bit of work? So the answer is yes, it can be done. There's quite a bit of work that goes into it, especially if it's a large list. And do you really want it that badly? Because now I've got to go through and do the next one, conditional formatting, new rule, use a formula, and this time I'll have to say equals C2 equals double quote C minus double quote. And then I have to, let's just double check that, minus double quote. Yes, format. The font color is sort of a mustard, so you can see you're going to be here trying to figure out, let's just say that one, and fill that one. Ooh, no, not that one. Oops. Cancel. More colors. More like that one. And okay, and okay, and okay. So you're going to have to work at getting them consistent. And then, oops, sorry. Yeah, and trying to make them all consistent. So I could keep going, but I'm sure you've got the idea, is you can actually format an entire row based on a value in a single cell. All right, what else can you do with conditional formatting? You can do things like icon sets. So I'm going to right click these two triangles. I'm going to go to the conditional formatting sheet and I'm going to select this range here. Let me just zoom in, for example. All right, so if I select this range here, I might decide, look, if something is greater than 1,000, then I want a green light. If it's less than 1,000, I want a red cross. And if it's equal to 1,000, just a bar. When you highlight a range and you go conditional formatting, there are things called icon sets. And really just choose a set that's got at least the 3 options you're looking for, or the 4 options, or the 5 options, for example. Maybe I choose 4 just to be different. I'll choose this one that's got 4, then I'll go back to conditional formatting and I'll manage the rules. Because I didn't get to say on what basis something was green or red or yellow or pointed up or pointed down. So you choose a icon set that's got the number of options you want, and then you edit that rule completely and turn it on its head and get it to do what you want it to do. Let's say, for example, I change percent to number. Let's say I change all of these to just greater than, just because I can. Let's say if a value is greater than 1,000, then I want it to be a green traffic light. Might go with a tick, for example. When something is greater than 1,000, is greater than equal to 1,000. When you're less than equal to 1,000 and greater than equal to 1,000, you are 1,000. So then I might just have a yellow dash. When something is, say, greater than 500, then it's a red light. And I might put a cross on it. And when something is less than 500, then I might put a flag. So you just create what you want it to do. And when I go okay and okay again, that's exactly what I've got. Anything that's less than 500 is a flag. Anything that is 1,000 will be a yellow dash. Anything greater than 1,000. And as you change the figure, so if this becomes 1,000, it's a yellow dash. If it goes to 100, it's a flag. If it's 600, then it's a red cross. But if it's over 1,000, then it's got the green light. So icon sets are a really great way of visually letting people know if things are okay or providing an alert system. But if your data is more negative and positive values and you want to show when someone's in the red or in the black and by how much, then data bars are probably the better conditional format to use. I'm going to highlight this range here, and if I go to conditional formatting and choose data bars, you really just roll over them. So I might say like orange data bar. So clearly I can now see when I'm in the negatives. I don't have to try and look for the small minus symbol. And the bar relatively shows me how much I'm in the negative. So I know where I'm doing really badly, but with the gold I can see I'm doing really well. So I think I quite like data bars. And so as you change this to say minus 6,000, it relatively stretches, whereas positive 6,000 is going to push it out that way. So data bars are good for that situation. Then we have the option of dates. Let's say I select this range of dates here. When you go to conditional formatting, you can highlight cells based on a date occurring. And so you could say, look, anything that's occurring this week, I really want it to show yellow. I don't want to be alarmist because it's this week. So these are due this week. But anything that was due last week really should go red. So I might go highlight cell rules, date occurring, and if it's last week, then really they should have been dealt with. So that's a way that you can use conditional formatting as well, because dates change, and so you want the color to change as the date becomes closer or starts to expire. You can also, if I clear the rules from the selected cells, you can also create a color scale of your own as dates get closer to being due. These might be vehicles that have servicing or warrant of fitnesses that are due, and you want to really be alerted to that. Because dates are relative, we could come up with some sort of rule or standard. I'm just going to say this is equal to that date minus today. That's a function we learned in an earlier video, was the today function. And so if I take that date and I subtract today, and let's just expand that. Let's just format that to general. Then that's a negative value because that should have been dealt to 14 days ago. And as I fill that down, those things that are on 0 are today. Those things that are positive values are in the future. And those things that are negative have been and gone. So let's use this as a rule. So F2 minus today. I'm just going to take a copy of that actually. Copy and then escape. I'm going to highlight this range. I'm going to go conditional formatting. I'm going to go new rule, and I'm going to use a formula, and I'm going to paste that formula in here. So if F2 minus today equals 0, then it's due today because zeros are today. Now, how do I want things to look that are due today? I'll format them that they have a particular fill color, maybe more colors. I don't like any of these. Maybe they're yellowy orangey, maybe orange-ish, and okay, and the font is black, and okay, and okay. So those are things that are due today. And let me just put Control semicolon, it's a shortcut key. Let me just put some more of today dates in here so I can see them. Control semicolon is a shortcut key for today. So anything that's 0 is going to show like that. Now anything that is a negative and is, well, let's start with positive. Anything that's due in the future, we'll just make those blue. So let's highlight this range. Conditional formatting, new rule, use a formula, paste the formula in, if f is greater than 0. If it's greater than 0, it's not due yet. So we'll go to Format, we'll choose a nice, just a black again, and a nice blue sort of colour, and OK, nice and cool, because they're not due until the future. Now, what about those things that have expired? I think we should make them stand out a mile. I think those things that have expired in the last week, orange, but those things that are more than a week expired need to be bright, bright. So it's really, you just decide what you want. So I'm going to go Conditional Formatting, New Rule, use a formula. Let's pop that in again, paste it in there. Let's say that that is greater than 7, greater than equal to 7, greater than equal to, oops, greater than equal to -7. Format, bright orange, font, white, and bold, and OK, and OK. Undo. That should have been, let's do that again. Conditional Formatting, New Rule, use a formula, paste it in there. If that value, I might go and open bracket. If that value is less than 0 and that value, take out that extra equals, is greater than -7. Close bracket, format, bold, white, fill, bright orange, OK, OK. Yeah, so it's and, which is what we saw in an earlier video. We looked at the and function. So I'm saying it's less than 0, so it's less than today, so it's in the past, but it's not as extreme as, it's only 7 days. It's between 0 and -7. Let's do another one. Conditional Formatting, New Rule, use a formula, paste that in, and front of the F2 we'll go and, because it's got to meet 2 conditions. So now it's got to be less than -7. And I think actually that's all it needs to be, is less than -7. So I can take that and out actually. Less than -7, format, dark red, font, white, bold, OK, OK. Those are really bad ones. So they're less than -7, then -8, -9, -10, -11. So those things are really expired and got to be dealt to. I mean, you could even go and make that stand out even more. Manage the rules, that rule, edit the rule, format, fill, and make the red atrocious and the font even worse. Like those are really due. Those are well and truly over a week old. Whereas the ones that are orange and white, they're a week old. And those ones that light peachy colour, they're due today. And those in the future are blue. It just goes to prove, and we can get rid of this. This was just a rationale that we could use to help us achieve what we wanted to achieve. But it just goes to show you, with conditional formatting, you can create quite intelligent rules, which can cause, as the dates changes, can cause this colour scale to every day change and reflect those things that are overdue. Have fun with conditional formatting. Colour speaks volumes. And so I think we need to add that more to our spreadsheet so things stand out once they reach certain outliners. I hope you've enjoyed the video. It's given you insights as to what you can do with conditional formatting. Please like, please subscribe. Come back to the next video because we're going to have a look at charting and how you can create charts, and particularly how you create chart dashboards. Ka kite. Bye-bye.